Hi, this is Cal Ripken Jr., and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
Back with you, the ML Sports Platter. Awesome to have you aboard. We are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Stitcher and the Podbean app. We are supported by Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual, New York State, tax-efficient retirement planning with Brian. Go with him. Like his Facebook page. Check him out all over the Mass Mutual website. Find your advisor, Brian Comboy, to help settle your financial future. We are super excited about our financial future because of Brian Comboy. We're also supported by Bradley's Jewelers, Timberbanks Golf Club, and Rosie's Corner. Pizza, wings, Italian dishes, great appetizers, hot and cold subs, you name it, at Rosie's Corner, the official pizza shop of the ML Sports Platter. If you're in and around Central New York, get there. It's right off the Bartell Road exit in Brewerton on Route 11. Gift cards and delivery are always available. Well, right now, I cannot wait to bring in our next guest to the podcast, a guy who I have had immense respect for a very, very long time, a baseball writer, author, and a disciple of the two-seamer, according to his Twitter profile. He also happens to be the co-author of a brand new book that I'm about 85, 90 pages into, Inside the Empire. I actually really think I'm on page 88. Inside the Empire, the true power behind the New York Yankees. He co-wrote it with Paul Solotaroff, and it is time to bring in a guy who's covered baseball and the Yankees for a long time with the Post, the Daily News, Bergen Record, ESPN, Fox, and USA Today. And, of course, work has appeared in Sports Illustrated, Rolling Stone, and Men's Journal. It is the terrific Bob Klapisch, and you can follow him on Twitter as well, at Bob Klap. That's at Bob, K-L-A-P. Bob, welcome in. Congrats. Love the book. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. The book is probably the shining moment of my career, the crowning moment, just because so much went into it, and because it's so much different than what I have done previously in my career as a newspaper man. It's a fine piece of journalism, and it's because it's so unique.
Yeah, let's get into Inside the Empire. Can the Yankees become more powerful than they already are?
In terms of power and resources and wealth, I mean, they're already at the top of the charts, and there's probably no limit in that regard. They are a money-making machine. They are really become a forward-looking, forward-directed organization in the way they make money, they harvest money, generate money, and how intelligently they spend it. That's really the point of the book, is that they know they're really past the George Steinbrenner era. That's long gone. And by that I mean throwing millions and millions of dollars of free agents who are past their prime or will be past their prime midway through a new contract in the Bronx. That just doesn't happen anymore. The Yankees now use their resources to develop talent, scout, develop talent, player development, advanced analytics. I mean, just about every facet of the game now has been modernized. So you take that philosophy and you pair it with the kind of money that the Yankees can throw at it, and it's a terrifying monolith if you have to go up against it every year.
I realize what they're doing. I like some of what they're doing, but the reality for me is that, they're the Yankees, and I'm not saying it's easy to win every year. I'm not saying you have to throw $350 million at every Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, but they've only won one World Series the last 19 years. And Brian Cashman gets a lot of credit for what he does. And this book, so far, I'm about 85, 90 pages in, and it seems like a real love for Cashman and what he's done. Why haven't the Yankees been able to get to the finish line, though, with this strategy? I mean, I know what you're saying, but, Aaron Hicks, 7 years, $70 million. They couldn't get a frontline starter. They gave Jacoby Ellsbury $153 million. I mean, while they're doing a lot of really good things, there's some things that are holding them back, right, Bob?
I mean, he's only human, and there isn't a general manager alive who hasn't picked the wrong horse occasionally. And obviously, Ellsbury has been a financial disaster to them. But the business plan that the Yankees are modeling themselves after did not exist until midway through 2016, really. Until then, if you go a little farther back, it was George Steinbrenner's imprint on the team, and fortunately took George's passing for his team to modernize itself. And the result of that, those stars from the late Steinbrenner era were just getting old and stale, and they had to go. I'm talking about Robin, Burnett, and the Yankees roster to start all over again, so to speak. So the miracle here and the tribute to Cashman really begins at the trade deadline 2016, where he was able to break the team down. He traded Chapman, he traded Andrew Miller, traded Brian McCann, traded Carlos Beltran, made all these trades mid-season, without tanking. And that's what's distinguished the Yankees from say, the Red Sox, who had to finish last a couple of times to get to where they are today. And the same thing with the Cubs, the same thing with the Astros. The Yankees have never had a losing season throughout. Now, going forward, I think they have a great young core. And, you know, the injuries right now have certainly come out of nowhere. Nobody could have foreseen that. But this team is poised to win a world championship. And most experts this year are picking the Yankees to go to the World Series. And that, I think, is the tribute to Cashman, is he's able to basically turn the Queen Mary around on a dime and turn this into a speedboat.
Inside the Empire, major bookstores, Amazon.com. I would suggest going to get it if you love baseball, love the Yankees. Hell, you could hate the Yankees, still read it. It's a great book. And one of the authors is on with us now, Bob Klapisch, a guy who's just done it all. But as you heard just a minute ago, the crowning moment of his career, covered the Yanks in baseball for a long time for several of the New York publications. Bob, what do you hope people say about the book when they get done reading it?
I hope they put down the book and say, wow, I never knew that, and I never knew that. Never knew that. I mean, even Yankee fans who think they know everything about the Yankees will run into several nuggets that have never been reported, and I think that's where the book distinguished itself from the fine reporting from the guys who are in the press box. Those guys are my friends, my colleagues. I've been working with them and against them for 20 years. There's some very, very good investigative reporters, you know, in that press box on a daily basis. However, last year I was not a reporter. I was an author, and I was able to tell the players and manager Aaron Boone and everyone in the organization, that pack of reporters that's right now filling up the clubhouse, which used to be me for the last 25 years, is not me this year. I'm an author, and what you say to me is not going to end up on the back page of the New York Post tomorrow morning, and it's not going to be on Twitter in 30 seconds, so you don't have to worry about some social media blowback. So let's really talk. This book is sort of like a book about a presidential election that comes out the year after, where you really sort of burrow in deep and find out what happened. And that allowed the players to really let their guard down and really talk about issues that normally just don't get explored, you know, when guys are on deadline and trying to get stories in the next 15 minutes, because that's what reporters do. They're always fighting the next deadline. I didn't have those pressures, and allowed me to find out all kinds of things. I don't want to give away the content of the book, but there are elements of this book which are unique and brand new and make for great reading.
I see a few days ago you had Adrian Wojnarowski show up at a book signing. That's pretty cool. Woj went to St. Bonnie like I did. I've had him on a bunch of shows. That's pretty neat. I love how, you know, you guys support each other, you know, the authors. And, I noticed that with Ian O'Connor and Armin Katayan and yourself and Woj. I really love that.
We were at the Bergen Record together. I mean, when we were just, you know, much younger, we were at the record together. And we've been friends for a long time. And to be honest with you, we had the book signing in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is not far from his hometown of Glen Rock. I didn't even know that Woj knew about it, and I didn't even know that he was going to show up. I just looked up at the crowd of people who were listening to me speak about the book, and there he is, just sitting quietly. I mean, it was, you know, from a friendship standpoint, it was obviously very heartening to see him there, and professionally, it's very cool because, you know, Woj is like at another strata now. He's like a media superstar. And there's no question about that. He's got millions of followers on Twitter. I mean, he's a powerhouse. So it was great just to have somebody like that, you know, in the fold and supporting the book.
Hank and Hal Steinbrenner as owners of this team, what is their role as owners? What do they do on a daily basis, Bob?
They have very different roles. Hank is in the background. He does not do interviews. He's not in any way the face of the organization. He's not a spokesman. However, he speaks to Hal on a daily basis. He is the final checkpoint on any major deals. He knows baseball, that's for sure. He really knows the game, and he has a good feel for the industry. He just chooses to remain silent. The person out front is Hal, who is well-spoken, well-coiffed, well-groomed, good-looking guy, very articulate, and he's a good owner to have in front of a camera, put it that way. And the interesting thing is he is so much different than his father, George. And that's one of the great interviews in the book also, I was able to get him one-on-one and talk about things that he normally doesn't ever address. in those press conferences that he does 3 or 4 times a year. Hal is not usually available. He never comes down to the clubhouse. He's never on the field. He rarely grants interviews. He does business in a very business-like fashion, which is to say he's just not a media type. But he did grant me an hour alone, one-on-one. And we talked about growing up with George Steinbrenner. We talked about being the son of someone so famous and so dominating, so domineering, so overbearing. And I said to Hal, I covered your dad at the outset of my career. I was 23 years old. I graduated from college not very recently, right after that. And I'd have to say that, for a rookie reporter, going up against some of the big-time reporters of that time, like Murray Chass of the New York Times, Bill Madden of the Daily News, Moss Klein of the Star-Ledger, here I was, literally in my first weeks of my career writing for the New York Post, and then my assignment was to cover George Steinbrenner. It's a terrifying task. It's a huge hill to climb. And I said, frankly, your dad intimidated the hell out of me. He scared me. And Hal laughed, and he says, well, don't take it personally because he scared the hell out of me, too. Which really sort of gives you an insight as to why Hal is so shy and he's so soft-spoken. I think that's the reaction of growing up with somebody who was a tabloid monster. I mean, he was an angry guy, or he could be, fired people left and right, and he thought the best way to motivate those around him and under him, including family members, was to blast them publicly. And Hal's reaction to that is to shrink completely and go in the opposite direction. So it's a fascinating case study, and that's all described in the book as well. What
did you find out while you were writing the book? A couple minutes ago, you had said that when people get done reading the book, you're hoping that, I didn't know that. What was the blowaway thing that happened for you while you were going through this project, Bob?
Well, 2 things. One, we found out the dynamic between Brian Cashman and Derek Jeter is bad. It's not good, and that's a result of a clash they had all the way back in 2010 when Jeter was trying to renegotiate a contract or convention, and it did not go well. Again, I'm not going to give away too many details. It did not go well. The two never forgave each other. And fast forward to 2018 and 2017. That animus between them was partly led to the Yankees being able to steal Giancarlo Stanton from the Marlins. But I will let the reader connect the dots there. But it's a fascinating story with a great deal of history. And number 2, we got down to the bottom. We burrowed deep and we got to the bottom of George Steinbrenner's near sale of the Yankees to the Dolans. And the fact that had this deal gone through, George would have had only a 20% stake in the team, and he would have been running not only the Yankees for the Dolans, but he would run the Knicks and Rangers as well. Fortunately, that never happened, but we get all the juicy details in Chapter 8.
Well, Billy Beane, the general manager of the Oakland Athletics, says Inside the Empire gives baseball fans a rare behind-the-scenes look at the 2018 New York Yankees season, but more than just a clubhouse diary. The book is dead on in its depiction of a general manager's daily life and the many decisions that go into building a playoff team. Bob Klapisch and Paul Solotaroff combined experience and engaging writing style make this book a fantastic read for anyone who follows the game. I'm about 85, 90 pages in right now, and it's called Inside the Empire, the true power behind the New York Yankees. A must-read, absolutely great timing as well as baseball is underway. Major bookstores, Amazon.com. Bob Klapisch, congratulations on the book, and I can't wait to see what's next. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thank you for having me on. It was my pleasure.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College. Make sure you go to bscbobcats.com and check out their athletic schedules. Also, bryantstratton.edu, where you can find out about 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, financial aid, classes that are available, and ways Bryant and Stratton can help you in your professional life, whether you're coming right out of high school, want to get started, or hey, 15, 20, 25, maybe even 30 years after the fact, people are still working, they're still active, but they're sick of what they've been doing for a long time. Change careers, instantaneous. Get a degree from Bryant and Stratton, and you're on your way. Bryant and Stratton College is the official college and title sponsor of the ML Sports Platter. We're also brought to you by the Allen Angus Pub, Timber Banks Golf Club, Bradley's Jewelers, and the Manor Bakehouse Cafe. One more tip of the cap. Thank you to Bob Klapisch, the co-author of Inside the Empire, the true power behind the New York Yankees. Make sure you go pick up this book. And you can hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports. And also, Download, subscribe, leave feedback for this podcast, and a 5-star review all over Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. We're also available on the Podbean app and Stitcher. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.